Everyone, my name is Daniel. I'm a Market Development Associate here at Wisetack, and here we have Iris, who is the Head of Marketing and Partnerships at Wisetack, as well as Mark Drager, who is the VP of Enterprise Account Management and Field Operations at Extend. Mark has spent over 20 years in the corporate retail world, leading teams and launching new programs. And after he spent some time consulting for the trades, mainly in HVAC, but also in other areas like electrical, plumbing, and roofing, Mark's background puts him in a unique position to translate best practices from large corporations to contractors looking to upgrade their operations. And so we're very thankful to have him here today. Mark, would you mind starting off by telling us how you got involved with consulting for the trades?
Yeah, excellent. Good afternoon. Hi, guys. First of all, thanks for letting me be a part of this and to speak about a little bit about my learnings along the way. 20 plus years in the corporate space. Most recently, I was able to consult and work for a company that consulted with small to medium-sized businesses in the contracting space. So really focused on the HVAC companies, and then also helped out with electricians, plumbers, roofing companies, as well as some other trades. And I think that my being able to share some of my learnings along this 20 plus year journey with them really helped them kind of curb jump and allow them to become even more successful than what they were. So yeah, just glad to be here. Thanks.
Let's start out with the big question that I think everyone always has in their mind, which is, from your experience, what do you think is the difference between a really successful contractor and maybe someone that doesn't have quite as much success?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I think it's a great question. When I look at it, I think that there's really three key categories that jump out to me on the difference between, a successful company and a not yet successful company. The very first thing is pricing. When you look at the successful company, they're priced right. They understand the dynamics that it takes to run a business. They understand it's not just as simple as taking your cost of goods and adding some margin to it. It's a more specific calculation because you have certain overhead things like like marketing, maybe rent, equipment, other parts of the business that might a warehouse person to stock the trucks, et cetera. So it's not, it's just a little bit more involved. So a lot of times their pricing is just simply not right, and they're underpricing themselves. And the second thing I think, which is unique, is financing is not an option, a payment option that they're utilizing, that they probably don't. The not so successful contractors out there, they're actually not even utilizing it. Is my experience. Yeah, I think we'll probably get into this a little bit more, but I think just understanding the dynamics of the consumer out there. Not everybody has a credit card, or if they do have a credit card, they might not have available resources on their credit card to be able to afford a service or a repair replacement. And they might not have, savings. They might not have enough money saved up, and maybe they don't even have relatives or friends that they can leverage. So that financing thing, I think, was a big eye opener for me. And the last thing I'd have to say would be training. And I mean, not necessarily training in doing your job going in and repairing an HVAC, installing a new system, putting in a new electrical board, et cetera. But more of the training of how do you approach a customer's house? How do you approach that customer and build value in not only yourself, but in your company? Why are you the right choice for this customer and not another shop down the street? Also, customer service reps, the person taking the phone call, how are they answering that phone? Are they consistent? And so that's kind of like what I mean by training as a whole. It's not necessarily in the actual performing the job. It's more of like the soft skills, if you will. So I think those are the three things: pricing, not offering finance, and training, not being consistent from customer to customer.
I'd love to double click, obviously, on the financing piece. So you mentioned that can really be a differentiator for a business. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like for someone who's not using financing today, how can they get started with it? And then for someone who is, how can they make sure that they're really, taking it to the next level and fully utilizing it?
Yeah, great question. I think, when we think about financing and why financing makes sense, let's look at the dynamic of consumers out there. My gosh, it's and with the recent pandemic, these numbers, I'm sure they're even worse now, unfortunately, and a lot of folks have been losing their jobs or reduction in salary, et cetera. So you think about 50% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck today. And what that means is that 66% of them potentially struggle to come up with $1,000 for an emergency. They don't have $1,000 in their savings account, and that's substantial. 2 out of 3 customers out there, potential customers, will struggle to come up with $1,000 in the case of emergency. Now, when you break that number down even further, 44% can't even cover a $400 out-of-pocket expense, and then 20% of those folks have $0 in their savings account. Very sad and unfortunate, but it's what we're dealing with, and it's society and the world that we live in right now. So we just have to deal with it, and therefore we have to be able to provide another opportunity for for our potential customers to get a repair, to get a new replacement should they require that. So I think, and ultimately, when you think about all these numbers, what does it mean? Well, 7 out of 10 customers simply don't have enough money to cover a new HVAC system, or a major electrical or plumbing repair, or a new roof. And that's scary. So if you think about this, if we don't have financing as an option, gosh, we're missing out on 70%, up to 70% of our opportunities. And that's substantial. So I think about this, and what really stands out, there's 2 points. By offering finance as an option for your customer, they're now able to make a purchase that they may not have initially thought that they could make, right? It's bringing something into play that they're like, oh my gosh, financing. That is, I don't have a credit card, or I don't have money available on a credit card. I can't call my brother or sister anymore. I don't have savings, but I have this financing option, and I can get on a monthly payment. That's something I can afford. And ultimately, I think the good thing is that the folks out there will, and when they start offering finance to their customers, what they're going to find out is that there's anywhere from a 7 to 10% or even greater lift spend on that final invoice. So meaning customers are adding more options to their ticket because they can afford that monthly payment. So when you think about that, that is a win-win-win. So win for the customer, it's a win for you as the contractor, and then it's a win for the business, right? So that's the triple effect win there. I think the second thing, when I think about this, I'm always reminded of there was an HVAC contractor / company that I worked with. and they had not offered financing, so it wasn't an option. Actually made a serious commitment. They were sold on it, and they made the commitment that they were going to offer it. And lo and behold, they actually saw their annual revenue double year over year. And part of that was they focused on educating not only their team, everywhere from the call takers to the technicians, but also educating their customers. So it became part of their culture, if you will. And hey, we're just going to simply let our customers know every single time we talk to them. We're going to let them know that financing is an option should they choose that. Also, financing became 60% of their of the spend of their business. So customers were utilizing that financing option on 60% of all the services and the replacements that they were offering. So so pretty substantial on that.
That's outstanding. So sounds like training the entire team, making sure 100% of homeowners knew it was an option. Anything else that they did? Do you happen to recall, like, at what point did they tell the homeowner that financing was available?
Yeah, great question. It was immediate. So whether that customer called in or the customer went online and did their research, which we're finding out that's a consumer behavior. A lot of times it's not just as simply as picking up the yellow pages anymore, as you know, and calling the first ABC HVAC or ABC roof repair. And they're doing their due diligence. They're doing their homework. And they're also, reaching out to friends and family. Hey, who did you use? Who's the local folks in our community that we can utilize? Once they provide that, they're probably going online and they're going to do some research. If they specifically say, hey, we take all major credit cards and we also offer financing options. Again, you're bringing into potential 7 out of 10 customers that there was no other way they could pay for it, so they feel a little bit more comfortable with offering finance. So yeah, it was a company-wide initiative, and it was something that everybody was sold on, and everybody believed in it because they understood their customer base. And they were able to relate with their customer base because some of them were in could be in those same predicaments. So it was something that they customer calls up, says, hey, my HVAC's not cooling down my house, it's pretty hot. Okay, great. Can you get a little bit more information, et cetera? And this kind of goes back to the training. It's like, okay, what all information do you want to get so that Johnny, the technician, when you send out Johnny, they're set up to succeed. So part of that is understanding what the potential issue is, and then also just so I can make sure Johnny is aware, how do you plan on paying for this service? We do offer financing options. We take credit card and check, whatever the case might be. And that is kind of like setting the expectations of payment when you go on. I mean, let's face it, contractors are in the retail business, right? I don't know if it's a smart business practice to write an invoice and expect the customer to pay later. I wouldn't advise against that. You're doing a service. It's costing you money to go on site to utilize parts, and you should be paid for that. It's no different than a customer going to Advance Auto Parts and getting a part for their car. They're going to they're expected to pay for that time. So same thing.
Now, we've talked a lot about the scenarios where the customer maybe it's an emergency situation and they just don't have the funds set aside. We hear from a lot of businesses that they might be in a more affluent area and they kind of assume that most of their customers have the ability to pay. Can you talk a little bit about what suggestions you'd give to businesses like that? Let's say they say, I'm in Southern California, very affluent community. I'm doing, new doors, new garage doors, it's generally not an emergency. It's generally, you know, I want an upgrade, or it's more proactive or something. Can you talk a little bit about how businesses in those types of situations can use financing?
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, and you think about it, and my experience is that, um, you know, it's the wrong behavior of any technician, or representative of the company to assume by their eyes that a customer is either extremely wealthy, or extremely not wealthy. um, you just never know. You know, you never know that, you know, you roll up and there's a, you know, 10,000 square foot home with a Mercedes and a Land Rover in the driveway. And you're thinking, oh, this person can pay with cash, or this person has the money. But yet they might be, you know, house poor, car poor. They might be trying to keep up with the Joneses. And unfortunately, they might not have, you know, the funds immediately available, because they're trying to put up a front. On the flip side of that, you might roll up to a, you know, a modest home, with a, you know, Toyota Corolla or something, just a, you know, just a regular economy car. You might be thinking that, oh, you know, this person, you know, they might not have the money, et cetera, but yet they're a millionaire because they budget, and they practice, financial sense, and they're able to, you know, set themselves up for success that way. So again, you never want to assume anything, and so you always want to offer, you know, your financing options, simply because, you know, that person at 10,000 square foot home, they might finance everything, and it makes sense them to finance everything. And why not use somebody else's money and not mine? Because I want my money to work for me and my savings account. And so they understand how the economics work, and they're okay with utilizing somebody else's money. You know, personally, I had my HVAC system replaced, or last year now. And I knew it was time. It wasn't an emergency or anything like that. I just knew that it was not keeping my home cool. It was over 15 years old, and I just knew it was time. And you know, the contractor, technician comes out, and you know, we're sitting there building it out, and what I want, and kind of my expectations and everything like that. Now, granted, I do know the industry, so I do know some of the equipment out there, and things that are available. But one of the things I asked is, hey, do you offer financing? And he did not. And so, you know, my wife and I, we had the money in our savings account. I really didn't want to spend it. You know, especially during the summer with everything that was going on in the world. I just really didn't want to spend it. So, you know, I called around, and I was able to get a loan. And it was, you know, that loan was only costing me, I want to say like $200 over the life of the loan for that new replacement. And that 200 extra dollars that I'd pay, that made a lot of sense to me. And so that's what we did. But unfortunately, I had to go out there and I had to do the work. So, you know, I think ultimately you never want to make that assumption that somebody is not going to take advantage of financing, is not going to utilize it, doesn't want it, or anything like that. It just needs to be part of your education. It's simply put, you know, as simple as, hi, my name's Mark. It's, you know, hi, my name's Mark. And as far as payment, we offer financing options for you. We take credit cards as well, et cetera. So.
Mark, one question that I did have, and you mentioned earlier that most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Are they still reliable customers? Are they going to be able to pay contractors back? Is that a concern that you ever have?
If they use finance?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the beautiful thing with finance, because the financing company assumes all that risk. So if I'm a contractor and I take financing, yeah, I know there's a cost to offer financing, just like there's a cost to offer credit cards as a payment option. But typically what I've seen, I go out there and I replace an HVAC system. I'm just going to throw out a number, $10,000, and the customer selects financing, and everything's approved and everything goes through. I know that in a day or two, I'm going to get that money put into my bank account. The financing company is going to pay me 100% of that, minus any of the fees and whatnot. And I know I'm going to be able to utilize that as cash flow and cover my cost of goods, cover my payroll, cover the cost of running a business. And it's that simple. And then the finance company obviously assumes the risk. And so just somebody utilizing finance, there's no less risk there. Again, when you look at it today, unfortunately, people, again, unfortunately, they're losing their jobs every day, and so everything's fine today might not be good tomorrow. So hopefully that answered your question.
That does. Thank you.
Another thing that we hear from some contractors is that, they're in this because they care about craftsmanship. They've maybe were brought up in this trade. But when we talk about salesmanship and growing sales, that's something that they maybe don't love talking about. They we hear things like, I don't want to be a salesperson. I want to only give my customers exactly what they need and nothing more. Do you have any advice for people with that mindset?
Yeah, that's a great question. I run into that all the time. I worked in call centers in the past and helping train them, and it wasn't when you think about a CSR, a rep for a company, the last thing they want to do is sell. They're not inside sales; they're customer service reps. And so one of the things that we always talk about is that I don't want you selling. I don't want you selling anything. I just want you to offer outstanding customer service. And part of that customer service is educating the consumer. It's simply just letting them know, recommending things, so they can make an educated decision. I always tell, no matter who the person is, whether it's a customer service rep or a salesperson, never, ever, ever spend the customer's wallet. And never ever use your own personal wallet when you're talking to a customer. What might be expensive or irresponsible in your eyes might not be irresponsible in your customer's eyes. So all you want to do is simply educate them, make recommendations. Wording has a lot to do with it. And I think that, you'll find that, hey, certain vernacular works better than others. The way I present this, the way I recommend this, power phrases, like I highly recommend financing because of this. Most of my customers take the option of financing because of this. Again, you're simply just using words that kind of solidify the reason why you're recommending.
That's great. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
One question I might have is, do you have any expectations or knowledge around, sorry, not expectations, but knowledge around what sort of increase in sales contractors might be able to expect as a result of offering financing? Would you say that it offsets the cost of offering financing?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because it's either A, you offer financing, you get the $10,000 job, or B, you don't offer financing and you get zero. At the end of the day, it's what, I don't care if it costs you, $1,000. You're getting that business, and your folks are going to be busy. And they're going to have work to do. They're not going to be sitting around costing you money if they're in the warehouse or on the side of the road waiting for the next service call, right? We know that time costs money. Yeah, definitely, offering the finance is a huge piece to the success of your business. I'm sorry, what was the second part of that question? I got caught up in
Yeah,
the,
no worries. Yeah, I guess it was if you had any insight into what sort of sales increases contractors might be able to expect, and if it actually is worth the cost of offering financing.
yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I think ultimately, obviously the increase in work by offering, because I go back to that 7 out of 10 customers, if financing was not an option, might not be customers. So there's obviously increase there. But also I think one of the unique things is that we see with consumer behavior, and look no further than the automobile industry. When we look at the automobile industry, when you're seeing ads and, they're leading with finance, they're talking about monthly payments. They're not talking about, hey, for $60,000, you can get this F-150. No, they're talking for as little as $600 a month with 0% financing, whatever the case might be. They're leading with that because they see that consumers we're all used to it. We're all used to budgeting. We're all used to what our monthly expenses are. We know that our cell phone costs X, our internet costs this, our cable costs that, and we have that monthly budget. And so we're accustomed to that. And so what the automobile industry learned, that by offering finance and breaking it down into monthly payments, now what a consumer thought would be, just a value add. Maybe it was heated seats, or it was air conditioner, cooling seats, or maybe it was Apple CarPlay. Maybe it was better wheels, whatever the case might be, leather. We think about all those additional packages in an automobile for as little as $50 more a month, right? And so the consumer sees it as, hey, instead of $300, I can go ahead and I can get this really cool audio system. I can get this spoiler in the back. I can get better wheels, tires, better rims, etc. And it's only going to cost me $350 a month. And so that spend, if you will, goes up. And that's what contractors will see, is that their average ticket between, say, credit card or financing will actually raise. There'll be a difference. The financing has typically shown that anywhere from 8 to 10 to 15% additional spend, and I think that's substantial, because those value adds typically have better, higher margins. So like when you think about an HVAC system and you think about, hey, I want to get the better air filter, right? Little cost in that to the contractor, but the way that they're marketing and charging it, it's there's better margins. So it adds those add-ons, and those upgrades, if you will increase, because again, the consumer is only seeing it as $20 extra a month. It's a no-brainer to me. I want that new Wi-Fi thermostat, etc.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, that's pretty significant.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Mark, for your time. It's been really interesting hearing from you. A lot of great insights. To anyone who has watched this, if you have more questions for Mark, feel free to reach out to us at support@wisetack.com. We'll pass the questions along to him and get back to you directly. But anyway, thanks so much, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, everyone.